My name is Brendan Smith. I am the Brewing Sailor, and this is another Hangover free review. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Hangover Free Reviews. I'm your host, the Brewing Sailor, Brendan Smith, and we've got a special show for you tonight due to some scheduling conflicts and the fact that I was feeling under the weather earlier this week. Instead of doing my normal Tuesday review and then a Friday review, we're doing a double review special for this Friday featuring two beers from 1820 Brewing in Maine. We're going to first do the 1820 Vienna Sweet, and there was a little confusion. I thought it was a Vienna lager based on the name, and while there is Vienna malts in it, it's actually closer to a Munich Helles. So that'll be the style guidelines that we use to grade this beer today. After we do that, we're going to take a look at all that Razz, the raspberry sour from 1820. And then at the end, I'll take my reviewer's hat off and let you know what I think about the beer personally, or the beers personally, I should say. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Let's get right into the Vienna Sweet. For those who don't know, it might be your first time watching, please like the video, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and of course, do leave a comment on the video. We'd love to see your comments. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. And for the new folks here, or for those who need a refresher, we do judge the beers according to the BJCP style guidelines. That's the Beer Judge Certification Program. And if you're interested to know more about that certification program, I'll have a link to those style guidelines in the description of the video. All right, let's get the Vienna Sweet poured up. Okay, so on a Munich Helles, we're looking for a couple things. We're looking for brilliant clarity. We do see that here. You can probably put it in front of my face in the camera. You can probably see right through and see my goofy face. We're looking for a nice golden color, which we also have here. And finally, a head that dissipates at a decent pace. But this is actually going to go a little quicker, and that's okay. It's not 100% to style, but you can already see it's kind of fading off, and it's going to go away completely as soon as the oils from my skin touch it. So it's not a huge issue, but it's not 100% to style. And I feel compelled to say, too, I'm also, sometimes when I'm reviewing non-alcoholic beers against BJCP guidelines, it's kind of difficult because there's not always a one-to-one analog, so I'm kind of shoehorning the beer into the closest possible style. And I'm running into that here. I wasn't really sure where to put this, so I just put it to where I felt it was as close as possible. But I am going to take a slight knockoff here for the head, but not much. We're going to give it a 2.75 out of 3. For the aroma, so for the aroma, I'm getting a little grainy sweetness and a little spicy floral notes from the hops. When I say spicy, more herbal and peppery than like really hot peppers or spice pepper. We're not talking, habanero ghost pepper beer here. We're just talking, herbal spices. And it's not a super large. I'm not trying to say it's like an IPA or something where it's got a ton of back end hops and a ton of aroma hop. It's just a little bit there on the nose. But it smells just like a German lager should. And we're going to give it 8 points out of 12 on that. For flavor, you can earn 20 points for flavor. And we're looking for this to be crisp, clean. We want it to have a little mild sweetness and maybe just a bit of, some of that hop note on the back of the tongue. Just a nice little hop bite that German lagers and Czech lagers can be known for. So let's see how she tastes. So I do get a bit of a sweetness to it. But it's not cloying. It doesn't last. It's just a pleasant little touch of sweetness as it runs across the middle of your tongue. I do get that nice kind of hot bite to the back end of it that you would expect from German and Czech lagers. and it finishes clean. Just a little residual sweetness, but you're not sitting there licking your lips afterwards, or smacking your lips, or licking your teeth. It's a very nice, clean finishing beer. It's what you're looking for from a German lager. It's not 100% perfect, but it's really good. I like it a lot. So we're going to give that 15 out of 20 on flavor. Mouthfeel, spot on. Mouthfeel, we're medium light mouthfeel, medium high carb, very effervescent, nice carbonic bite to it. When you drink a beer like this, you want it to feel like this going across your tongue. You want it to be light, but not too light. You want it to have that nice effervescent bubbly. And you know what? I'm changing my mind. My last beer that I had with this, the head dissipated. You can see you got some nice head retention here. There's still a little head. I've got some lacing. I'm gonna up that 2.75 to a 3 because it's my review and I can do that. So I'm making an executive decision. So I'm changing my initial thoughts on that. So we're going to up the appearance to a 3 instead of a 2.75. The mouthfeel is going to get a 5. They nailed that. Overall, I really like it. It's a very good, crisp, clean, easy drinking beer. The nice kick of flavor, just a touch of sweetness, just a touch of hop flavor. We're going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, and that's going to give it a 38.5 out of 50. So again, very consistent from the guys at 1820, really in that very good quality, just knocking on excellence door. So yeah, not bad at all. I really like it. As far as we'll get to my personal observations of both beers at the end, but give me a second and we will get into the All That Razz. Now that we have done our BJCP review of the Vienna Sweet, we are going to jump right into the All That Razz. Get this puppy poured up. And this is a raspberry sour. So it's going to have a nice pinkish red color to it. You see it's got a really nice, thick, moussey head. And it's pretty opaque. You're not going to see through this one. And those are kind of the things you're looking for from a fruit beer. Okay, so even though it's called a sour, and I've talked about this before, when you're talking about a fruited beer, whether it's a fruited IPA or a fruited sour, you have to kind of use two styles when you're grading it. So we'll judge the fruit based off of a fruit beer guidelines, and then we'll just judge the underlying sour based off of how a sour ale should be. For appearance, this one's going to get 3 out of 3. It looks exactly the way it should look. It's got that really pretty color. It's got that nice, thick, moussey white head. Yeah. And it's because you're going to expect it with the fruit, with all that extra fruit in there, you're going to expect an opaque color or an opaque I just totally lost my train of thought, but you're going to expect it to be opaque rather than translucent. Is what I'm trying to say. It's been a long week, folks. We're shorthanded at work. I apologize. I'm not my normal self. But this is going to get 3 out of 3 on appearance. Now, let's see how she smells. Wow. So I'm not normally a fruit beer guy. I'm really not. But I do have a sweet spot for both raspberry and mango. Don't know why, I'm just big fans of it, especially in beer. And this, it's like sticking your head into a fresh carton of raspberries at the grocery store. You can tell that they used, even before I taste it, you can tell they used a really high quality fruit puree. They didn't use anything cheap extracts that's going to give a medicinal, like Robitussin-like flavor. They didn't, and I always find that very disappointing in fruit beers. And a lot of times why I stray away from them. But when you get a really high quality fruit product that's used, like say Oregon fruit, which makes great fruit puree specifically for beer brewing, I've used them myself when I was head brewer at Craft and Growler, and man, it adds so much to the beer when you use quality ingredients, and they certainly have here. You can just tell from the aroma; it's fantastic. So we're going to give this a 10 out of 12. And the only reason why I'm knocking off a little bit on the aroma is because this is a sour beer, or at least it's supposed to be. And I'm just really only the faintest little whiff of an acidic smell. And I'm guessing it should have a little bit more of that for a beer that, if you're calling it a sour, it should have a little bit more of that. And I think we're going to find that's going to be reflected in the flavor too. So let's dive in here. So yeah, very fruit forward. Raspberries dominate everything, and they're delicious. Um, Very much reminds me of Woodland Farms Ruby, where you can almost taste the raspberry skin on the back of your tongue. That's how fresh the raspberry is. It's really well done on that issue. However, you know me, and you know how sensitive I am to sour and how stupid my faces can get. And there's no pucker here. There's no stupid sour face. This is a sour beer. Now, I was talking with the folks from 1820, and they did explain that this is kind of their training wheel sour. This is what they get to kind of break people into the sours. And while I understand that, and I actually approve of that from a personal standpoint, because I like more fruit beers when I do want something fruity. I prefer a straight fruit beer rather than a fruited sour. So personally, I love that. But judging it to style, I do have to knock off some points for that because it's just not too style. So, but I don't want to penalize too heavily. It should still get a decent score because the raspberry and the fruit are fantastic. And so for that, we're going to give them 13.5 points out of 20 on flavor. The mouthfeel is spot on. It's a medium mouthfeel. It's very smooth across the tongue from all that puree, and even though it's very effervescent and the carbs are there, it's not a harsh carbonation. So it's very smooth, very velvety across the tongue. It's a luxurious beer, if you will. So we're going to give it 5 out of 5. Overall, as a fruit beer, it's a 10. But as a sour, it's a 6. So we're going to put it right in the middle and call it an 8. So we're going to give it 8 out of 10 on the overall score. That's going to give us a total score of 39.5 out of 50. So really knocking on excellence door with this one, 1820. In fact, if you just called it a fruit beer, you're probably looking at a 42 out of 50 instead of a 39.5, because I wouldn't have had to knock off those points. But a very, very tasty beer nonetheless. Okay, so let's talk about these two beers, the Vienna Sweet and the All That Razz. Where do I put them in my personal scale of regular rotation, would buy again, glad I had it, would drink it again, glad I had it, probably wouldn't drink it again, or drain pour? Well, as far as Vienna Sweet was concerned, that is kind of my go-to style. I like crispy boys. I like sessionable IPAs. So Immunicalis, right in my wheelhouse. If 1820 was distributing to Texas, that's probably going to be a regular rotation beer. Just because of the fact that I have to order it from Maine, I have to wait for it to come in. Yeah, I have to pay a little extra shipping. That's going to knock it down to a would buy again. I absolutely would drink it again, would buy it again. Very good beer. Just if I can't get it locally, if I can't, just go to the supermarket or go to the package store, it's Total Wine Specs, whatever, then it's very hard for me to get it all of the time. Still a very good beer. I enjoyed it. I will definitely order it at some point again, but it's just not going to be regular rotation until 1820 gets to the point where they're distributing nationwide. Even if that's in their business plan, I don't know. As far as the All That Razz, I really, really like that beer. But fruit beers, even if I could get it locally, fruit beers aren't just something that I drink all the time. It's something I have to be in a mood for. It's a very much a summertime beer for me. Um, and it's not one of those things I'm always going to keep in the fridge. And it doesn't matter whose beer or how good it is. It's just, every once in a while the mood will strike me. Gee, I'd like a fruit beer. But it's not something I drink on a weekly, monthly basis. So for that reason, I would put it also in would buy again. Not so much because I can't get it locally, just because it's not a style I gravitate to on a regular basis. So that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for sticking around for a little extra longer review, just because I couldn't do them separately this week. It's just a lot going on. I wasn't feeling great. So I really appreciate y'all hanging around to the end for those of you who did. They still have my code up at 1820 as far as I know. I haven't been told otherwise. So if you go to 1820 and you want to buy one of these beers, I'll have the link in the description. Use code BrewingSailor20 at checkout. It'll get you 20% off your order. Get some great beers. Enjoy these two or any of the other wonderful beers they have at 1820. And if there's anything you want to see me review, drop a comment and let me know which beer you want to see me review next. Give you an idea of what's coming next. Well, I can't tell you what's coming Tuesday. Tuesday's a surprise because Tuesday's going to be my first drain pour review. And I'm not ready to tell you who it is. I want you to see it when I actually open up the video. So we're going to hold that as a surprise. But it is my first drain pour video. That's going to come out on Tuesday. Next Friday, we are going to be doing a beer, which is in the fridge. And I now can't remember what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Holy cow. It's Geralt's Gold from Netflix. So we're doing the Witcher beer, which I don't know how much of a fan of the books or the video games you are, but if you ask me, this beer is probably one of the only two good things to come out of that show, other than the fact that Henry Cavill got a Warhammer 40K show. Pop culture is another love of mine, if you hadn't noticed with the 4-foot Vader over my shoulder. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching Hangover Free Reviews. Do appreciate you. Of course, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, leave a comment before you go, and of course, share this out on your social medias. It really helps our channel grow. Speaking of which, we have grown a lot in the last few weeks. We're up to 175 subscribers. Thank you to all my new subscribers, and a huge thank you out to my subscribers who have been with me and have stuck with me. I really appreciate your support. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Sláinte.